Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, the podcast all about classic and obscure war movies, from the Normandy landings to the days of chivalry and swords. If it's been captured on film, we're going to try and cover it. I'm Robbie of RM Military History.
I'm Matthew Moss of Historical Firearms and the Armourer's Bench.
Hello, we are back from a week's hiatus. Now, I was away before we did the Dwayne Epstein episode about the Dirty Dozen. That was really good, great episode, Matt. You held the fort down well while I was away.
Fun.
Yeah, I had a few family commitments that we weren't able to put the show out as scheduled. However, we're back now, and we thought this episode we'd touch on something a little different. Now, we are going to talk about war movies later on in the show, but unless you've been living under a rock, in the entertainment world, you'll see that currently SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America are on strike. The Writers Guild of America have been on strike for a couple of months previously. However, SAG-AFTRA striking as well was unprecedented. It hasn't happened for 60 years. The last time that SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild struck was 1960.
Oh, wow.
So long ago that Ronald Reagan was head of SAG-AFTRA at the time, if you didn't know.
Oh, so Ron led a strike. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's a completely other episode there.
That's mind-blowing.
It really, really is. But we just wanted to highlight on the fact that, we really care about this industry and it's important to us, and it's given me and Matt many opportunities that we wouldn't have had in our lives through the podcast. Whether that be reviews for upcoming movies, screeners for things, going to premieres, for press premieres, things like that. But we want to put a line in the sand that we are with, the people who are striking. It's their livelihoods. It's AI potentially taking people's jobs, which affects, even if you're listening to this show and you're part of the film community, or listening to this show and you're part of the history community, it can affect us all.
AI is going to be a big deal for a lot of industries. And
it really, really is.
SAG-AFTRA have really highlighted, the dangers in terms of, what AI can pose to a creative industry. Now, of course, this is an American strike, but so much of this industry revolves around the US film and TV industry.
Just touching on what we do, like most of the big war movies that have come out in the last since 2000 have been American pictures. There were a few.
Well, they've all had American money in there, haven't they? As well,
yeah, exactly.
Most of them.
So it really affects the genre.
At the same time, that AI element again is going to impact European filmmaking, Asian filmmaking, African filmmaking. It's eventually going to roll out to all of these places. Where it's going to impact on how writers are paid, how actors are paid, and also those really important kind of sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's identity, isn't it? That's the key element.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I couldn't think of identity. No, but it's identity. That is the key thing, isn't it?
It bleeds into everything because the writers of a film, actors, you have your certain style, you have a way that you do things, you're loved for that. Look at how Tarantino writes a film, and look at how someone like Kubrick made a film, or had a script written for him. Like, those people do the things that they do because they're them, and for a computer to come in and be able to, quote unquote, replicate what they do, it's beggars belief the kind of things they want to maybe implement, like taking an actor's likeness from one movie, or writing away someone's entire identity for eternity, and you being paid once for your likeness. I don't think it's right.
Yeah, it kind of plays into this whole evolving system with streaming as well, where I think it was Orange is the New Black. There was an actress this week who came out and basically highlighted how little she's been paid since that show began streaming. Again,
it was on pennies, wasn't it?
Yeah, it kind of got rolled out to a number of the other like regions on Netflix, I think, and I think it's the 10-year anniversary as well.
Something like that.
she's made like $20, something ridiculous.
It was like sub $500 or
Yeah,
something for being
it
in a
was
show
it
for
was
nearly a decade of your life. It's crazy to me, and it's the whole thing of how, you know, back in the day. I mean, I'm sure people listening know this, but back in the day, you could be on a cable show and it could get 10 seasons or whatever, and you'd be able to live off that money and audition for things and try and get new work in between jobs. Because I've been an
yeah.
actor, it's fucking hard for, you know, if you're not in the top percent of actors who are earning millions, it's a fucking hard industry.
There's a huge disparity between TV residuals and streaming residuals, essentially.
Exactly. So, you know, people rely on this income to live. And for streaming services to just blow the whole thing out of the water and be like, well, we're streaming, we're not going to treat it the same. However, we want the same treatment in the space when it comes to award seasons, when it comes to advertising, when it comes to how they're reviewed. You know, we see it as it's content, it's a film, it's a movie, more now than we did when it started. These streaming services have become normalized. So why should they treat their workers and the actors and writers differently? This is what this is about. So I think line in the sand for us is critics are not on strike, but we do not feel comfortable, or we would not take any payment or anything, or any offers from struck
Not that we ever have
studios.
actually
Not that we
been
ever
offered
have.
any payment, to be
We've
honest,
never
but
been paid or treated by any entity for our opinion on the show, any review. Everything we've ever done has been we've sourced it ourselves. Any fan of the show's talked to us and met us. You know, I'm very open about this. Me and Matt work really hard behind the scenes to get what we get. But I know that some other influencers and reviewers on other platforms have been offered crazy money to
yeah,
do things and break the picket
I
lines.
saw
So
some articles about that too.
yeah, you know, people getting offered like 5K for something when that's way above industry
Mad.
average. So we won't be reviewing Oppenheimer. If you're interested, we won't be reviewing that right
Not
now.
yet, anyway. So essentially, the plan is, for now, we'll just continue doing our normal, obscure, um, really interesting, but
All those
older
great war films we
war
haven't covered
movies
yet.
that God knows the war movie genre has plenty of ground for us to cover before we get to, modern fare. When the strike's settled, we'll come back, we'll take a look at Oppenheimer and anything else that we want to review. But I think it's important to take a stand, show a bit of solidarity, and recognize the importance, or the possible threats that AI poses to a creative industry, which I think
And
what
just
we need
how
to
people
outline.
should be paid for their work.
Well, of course,
You know,
exactly.
like,
And we need to outline that it's writers and it's actors, in that
mm,
writers have seen their work appear in Chat GPT, other AI platforms. And we'll take Sarah Silverman. She was she was mentioned on an episode of Today Explained that Lauren sent to me. And essentially, someone went onto Chat GPT and asked, "Can you tell me a joke in Sarah Silverman's style?" And it was perfect. It was exactly the nuance and the phrasing and the way that she formulates her humor was completely replicated. And what struck me is she's now suing Meta and ChatGPT and a number of other companies because of this. If you can do that with, a joke, you can do that with a TV show. You can do that with a movie. I mean, a few months ago, we watched an animated live stream of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Which was literally, it had obviously been fed, the AI had been fed a whole load of Seinfeld, and it had watched these, and it had taken on board some of the key tropes and some of the things that make it recognizable as
and you think
Seinfeld.
with some refinement and stronger computing behind it,
Well, that was
you could
hokey.
make lost episodes.
Well, exactly. That was hokey, but that was done on that was just someone playing around. You put studio money into that.
Exactly.
And you can,
yeah,
the possibilities are boundless. And that's exciting in some respects, but you have to temper that with understanding that it's a creative industry, and the people that are creating need to be paid properly, and you can't manipulate someone's identity to make a piece of media.
Everyone's been talking about it Twitter, things like that. I've seen it everywhere. People are saying we're in Black Mirror now. We're in it. This is how it feels. It's scary. And
Yeah.
me and Matt, we write articles for a living. We do a lot of, if you follow any of our other projects, or you keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast, you'll know that me and Matt write pretty much every day, for our work, to make ends meet. And
I've got literally thousands of articles online. If you fed them all into Chat GPT, I'm sure it could mimic my writing style.
I mean, you can't
easily.
look up a gun. You can't look up a rare gun without Matt's website or his name popping up. You can't. It's just the truth. The amount of times I've written something and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to know that something about, I don't know, like a Lewis gun or something, and Matt's name will pop up because he's done something on it. But for me, I write history articles, a bit more broad, not as niche as Matt's, but not putting Matt's work down. Incredible work.
Not at all. It is niche.
Yeah, but for a computer to be able to come in and give you, I don't know, 2,000 words on, I don't know, the land army, the women's land army, is something off the top of my head. It could do that. It could. And you're not going to know. You're not going to know who's written that. It could be.
And we've tested this, haven't we? We've asked it to do certain things. We've asked it to, we've war gamed with it. That's a video coming.
Yeah, that's coming out. That's a big long edit I'm gonna have to do. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, but we've played with it. We understand the capabilities. I've listened to a number of podcasts and articles with academics where they've talked about they're seeing students using Chat GPT. They're seeing methodologies impacted by Chat GPT, and this thing is growing. And so, continuing that, this week, what we've done is we asked Chat GPT to put together a top 10 war movies list for us. That's the kind of the industry standard for like our area of reviewing movies and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. And before we go into these lists, we should clear up that we don't hate AI, because we see it as, it could be a tool, it could be effective, it could be useful, it can help us. We're really angry at the studios for just having the audacity to think that people's livelihoods can be replaced wholesale by it.
Yeah, it's a misuse, isn't it? It's a misuse of a tool.
Yeah.
Or a misappropriation of a tool, which is going to eventually be really powerful.
That's what it is. And on that note, we'll go for a little break and we'll come back.
Hello there. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to let you know that you can now join our supporting cast over on Patreon. As thanks for your support, you'll be able to help us pick films, submit questions for guests, have first pick on brand new and exclusive merch, and much more. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
It's just to pick up what Matt was saying there. I mean, last weekend, if you were on Twitter or, on social media, it's hard to know where people are now with threads and all the new stuff that's going in.
OnlyFans,
yeah, it could be. Give it time. So there was a list that the Sunday Times put together for their top 40 war films. There were some big names involved. It was Tom Holland, some producers.
Max Hastings,
Al Murray,
the director of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, there was a whole plethora of people. All people who, when you look at that, you go, "Oh yeah, they're definitely like people you would ask."
Yeah, exactly. And we always get tagged in lists and things whenever anyone makes them, and obviously they are 100% subjective. Film is an art form, and different strokes for different folks. But there's some more missions there. People were going, "Oh, there wasn't any Cruel Sea, there wasn't any Ice Cold and Alex, No Longest Day," things like that. People were angry that Fury was involved, and it always creates like a really interesting discussion.
It fuels debate as well, doesn't it?
Really does. Yeah, it's like, what do people want? What do people regard when they, when you rank a war film or war films? I mean, I've done a top 5 for a magazine, the Best of British, that's coming out in hopefully a couple of months, and it's hard.
All good news agents.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to quantify, 100 years of film into 1,600 words or whatever it was. Totally. It's incredibly difficult.
When people ask, because people do ask now that obviously we've done this podcast for quite a while, people do ask us, like, what are your favorite war movies? And I simply cannot give you a definitive top 5.
No way.
It's impossible.
It's fluid. It changes every week, every month, every day. It's And I always think, well, you've got a new favorite film, you haven't seen it yet, because how many films are
Mm,
out there?
mm.
There's got to be a
Could have been
movie.
made 60 years ago, and it's your new fave.
Exactly,
Nine
exactly.
Men.
You have to be so open-minded when it. Yeah, it's Nine Men. Nine Men's in my top 5 list, obviously. Like it could not be in there. Um, but we asked, to get back on track, we asked Chat GPT, which is currently really popular, got a lot of
Mhm.
headlines when it came out, to do its top 10 war films, and that's all the prompt we gave it.
Well, to give you the exact prompt, we asked it, can you create us a list of your top 10 war films with reasons why? And it did.
In about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was like that. And
Quick.
you know what? I was impressed with some of it. I'll honestly admit that I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to go through them one by one, and just talk about it. And then we've got 10 obscure war films after. Because
Yeah,
we just
we
wanted
tried to push it a little, didn't we? We wanted to
Yeah,
stretch its legs.
exactly. We were, the FOF labs with the FOF boffins this week. Robbie and Matt's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Film Criticisms.
I have donned the white lab coat.
Yeah, I'm wearing a snazzy gilet.
I am currently in a dark room with
Yep.
a pair of very thick spectacles on, and I
Like
am
it.
typing code in green onto a black screen, and there's 90s spy movie music being
Love
played.
it. I'm behind a big perspex wall, see-through wall with 2 MOD boffins, and every time to talk to Matthew, we hit a big chunky intercom and we go, "You can do it now, Matthew. Godspeed, Matthew." So, in at number 10, we have 2001's Black Hawk Down, and the Chat GPT description is: Ridley Scott's intense and gritty film depicts the Battle of Mogadishu, a US military operation gone awry in Somalia. The film's immersive action sequences, realistic portrayal of combat, and ensemble cast contributes to its gripping narrative.
Now, I thought, okay, good pick. Yeah,
Not bad.
that obviously
Yeah.
often makes lists. But when it gave it the reason, its reasoning for why it had included it, and a little description of what the film's actually about, I was like, that could have been copy pasted from someone's
You would never know.
top
This is
10
and that's
elsewhere.
the scary thing. You'd never know. I could have written that. You could have written that.
Yeah, I mean, that is a perfectly.
I'm sure countless FOF listeners could have written the exact same.
Absolutely, it's a perfectly obvious thing that you would write to describe Black Hawk Down.
Good film. We should review it sometime.
We should
Actually,
yeah.
Well, we might be reviewing it sooner rather than later.
That's true. Yeah.
FOF
There's a lot of films
there
on this list that we're going to go through that we need to get to, but
Chat GPT has seen us, to be fair, with this list. We felt seen.
In our defense, though, there is no chivalry and there are no swords on this list.
No, there's not. Even Chat GPT fucking ignores that. Did I say ignores? Even Chat GPT doesn't rate them.
Oh, we're going to get letters. Oh, no.
We get a barrage.
Okay.
Of
Number 9. Number 9, it comes in with Letters from Iwo Jima, 2006. It describes it as directed by Clint Eastwood. This film presents the Battle of Iwo Jima from the Japanese perspective. It humanizes the enemy and offers a profound exploration of the individual experiences and sacrifices made during war. The film's nuanced storytelling and strong performances are remarkable.
I mean, yeah. If anyone who's seen Letters from Iwo Jima, that's what they think. And to echo it, I mean, it's surely pulling from loads of reviews, loads of little IMDb things have been fed in.
Hundreds of reviews.
Yeah, and again, a great choice. I don't know if it'd make my top 10, but it's a good one.
Again, it's not our list; it's Chat GPT's. Exactly. It's entitled to its opinion.
Exactly.
All lists are subjective.
Yeah, even an
AI generated ones.
It's subjective. Yeah. The Bridge on the River Kwai is in at number 8. God, I feel like the top of the pops chap.
My God, memories.
So it's said about The Bridge on the River Kwai directed by David Lean. This World War II film directs the story of British prisoners of war forced to build a bridge for their Japanese captors. It explores the themes of duty, honor, and the clash of ideologies. The film's iconic performances and gripping climax make it a classic.
You see, it's describing fairly complex themes there.
Mm.
Um, and 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 Bridge obviously is a film that has those complex themes in there. But the thing
Yeah.
about it is, it's obviously pulling from other reviews online and other lists probably. But it knows to include comment on that,
Mm.
which I think is
Got to say
intriguing.
how cool Jack Hawkins looks in his commando gear, though.
Well, like, it could have literally just been Jack Hawkins looks great in his commando drip in this film.
Hawkins looks great in his commando wear. Trying to do a robot voice.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah.
Number 7,
Number
The
7.
Thin Red Line. Terrence Malick's visually stunning film captures the horrors and beauty of war in the Pacific. And see, the beauty bit was jarring, but it is a very nicely shot film.
It takes some risks. Put it that
during
way.
World War II. Yeah, it offers philosophical reflections on the nature of, it offers philosophical reflections on nature, humanity, and the futility of war. The ensemble cast, including Sean Penn and Jim Caviezel, adds depth to the storytelling. I mean, Chat GPT could have listed about 100 other actors in there as well.
Could have given you like top 10 list of actors that didn't feature in that movie.
Yeah,
that yet shot footage. Like there's so many.
True.
You know. Yeah,
it could have added Infamous for cutting a great deal of material.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you were a 90s male lead, you were pretty much on set, I think, in that one.
Yeah, you were retained at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a big fat retainer. Yeah, I mean, it was in the Sunday Times list. It was quite high on that. I know.
It was.
Yeah, I know. It's
I'm not
polarizing
sure.
one, isn't it?
Let me be subjective for a moment. I'm not entirely sure that it deserves to be in the top 10 of a top 40 list.
Okay.
And something like, I don't know, Come and See isn't in there as well.
I mean, it would get in my top 20 at the moment. Yeah. It might not get in my top 20 next week.
True.
That's the whole thing about with these lists. So in at number 6, it's a non-mover. Couldn't resist. In at number 6 is Paths of Glory, 1957, directed by Stanley Kubrick. The film explores the injustices and absurdities of war. It follows a French army unit during World War I and delves into themes of honor, sacrifice, and the corruption of power. Kirk Douglas delivers a compelling performance.
As we move through these, what's striking to me is that it hasn't made any glaring errors yet. No. So I don't know about you, like when we first started messing about with ChatGPT, I asked it about the pit because obviously I asked about the pit. Yeah. And it came up with some stuff that was, glaringly incorrect. And similarly, like I've seen people online talk about, asking it about specific battles or specific periods of history. And the hallmark of it is there's always something that is like slightly off.
Yeah.
Or incorrect or just glaringly wrong.
I've done it with when I was writing an article a few months back. I was like, oh, could you just give me like some of the key facts around this certain battle? And a lot of them were just like, I was like, no, like it's sort of,
yeah.
But I think over the months, it's got a little bit more refined, a little bit more clever.
I think that is true.
Because my wife uses it a lot in her job. She works in tech and she uses it a lot. And she's like, you can be really obscure with this now and it will get what you need. It will do what you want. As long as you're very dialed into what you're telling it, you can get the results. And when we drop the chat war game thing we did, that was really interesting we had to battle the AI at some points to try and get it to remember what we were doing. I don't know whether it would still get the same results now.
I imagine, you know what, it might have moved on a little bit and it might be even more surprising than it was when we tried it.
Yeah. Anyway, no, Paths of Glory, great film. Kubrick.
Definitely another we need to cover. Number 5, we have Dunkirk 2017. Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk focuses on the evacuation of Allied soldiers during World War II. Doesn't tell you where they're evacuating from. ChatGPT coming in a little bit careless there. Sure. It skillfully combines it kind of. It skillfully combines three intersecting storylines, creating a tense and immersive experience. The film's innovative structure, breathtaking visuals, and Hans Zimmer's score make it a cinematic triumph. Wow. Okay.
Wow, Chat GPT is a Nolan fanboy.
Yeah, Chris Nolan's spent a lot of time on Chat GPT talking to it and being like,
Imagine that. Yeah,
I
no,
don't think that I would not put that in a top 10 list.
Dunkirk 2017 gets its flowers from the AI there. Um, I don't think it'd reach my top 50, but that's just me. It
Again, it's
visually
subjective.
brilliant at the cinema when I saw it, and then
Yeah.
diminishing returns every repeat viewing. But hey ho, be an interesting one to cover when we do cover it. Number 4 is Platoon, 1986, directed by Oliver Stone. Platoon provides a gritty and unflinching portrayal of the Vietnam War. The film's realistic battle sequences, moral ambiguity, an exceptional ensemble cast, including Charlie Sheen, and Willem Dafoe, contributes to its enduring impact.
Fair.
Very fair.
A decent but expectable choice.
Yeah, Platoon always gets high on these.
Yeah.
I mean, it started that glut of really well done Vietnam War movies, didn't it? Well, it didn't start it, but it's in that late 80s period.
It is, yeah.
Obviously Apocalypse Now did, but it didn't really, because Go Tell the Spartans did. But, I get what it's trying to do.
Number 3, Full Metal Jacket 1987. Stanley Kubrick's examination of the Vietnam War follows a group of Marine recruits from their brutal training to their experiences on the battlefield. The film's exploration of dehumanization and the duality of human nature is thought-provoking. Again, someone has done GCSE A-level film studies with ChatGPT. They are pulling out the themes.
Yeah.
I love it.
They're sitting in the corner, and they're the one that, they've got an A24 hat on right now, and they're like, the themes of Full Metal Jacket. It's not actually just a war film, it's like an exploration of the human condition.
Duality, man.
Yeah, man. The thing about Kubrick, right? That, isn't it? Full Metal Jacket, again, it's a high choice on any list.
Always on lists.
It's always on lists.
Justifiably so. You can definitely make a case for it. You can make a case for most of these.
You really can. Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Apart from Dunkirk.
It's so interesting that the top 4 of these are all set in Vietnam, because what's number 2, Rob?
Number 2 is Apocalypse Now, 1979, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The film takes a surreal and disturbing journey into the heart of darkness during the Vietnam War. It explores the psychological toll of war and features iconic performances by Marlon Brando and Martin Sheen. Absolutely top marks for including the name of the book that the film is based on in its summing up. That is absolutely top fucking draw.
Oh my god, I'm just going to retire now.
Exactly. If that was written by a human, that was brilliant. That's the greatest thing it's written so far to me. Yeah, Apocalypse Now, it always features up there. People always cite it as one of the genre's most, I don't know, affecting and interesting movies.
Yeah, enduring.
So much going on for it, enduring. Yeah. Again, and then number 1. Matt, do you want to reveal number 1?
Oh, drum roll, please. Number 1 is, of course, 1998's Saving Private Ryan. This Steven Spielberg masterpiece is renowned for its gripping and realistic depiction of the D-Day invasion during World War II. The intense battle sequences, exceptional cinematography, and emotionally charged performances make it a must-watch war film.
It was inevitable, wasn't it? Yeah. It was inevitable. Yeah. I think I've seen countless top 10s that feature Saving Private Ryan as its top choice. I mean, I get it, because it's the movie that reignited a genre. It's the movie that we now sort of pin on whenever a new movie comes out. We're like, yeah, but it's no Saving Private Ryan, or Saving Private Ryan's already done this. It's kind of
it is such a touchstone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's seminal. Yeah, and I don't like the fact it gets hated on every now and then. People think it's cool.
Revisionism at work, though.
People think it's really cool to be like, oh, the start's really great, but then it just becomes like a road movie after. I'm like, what's the fucking point? That's the plot, I'm afraid. That's how Spielberg made it. But no, every time I go back and watch it, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, what can I say?
I think the majority of people that you ask will agree that it should
Yeah,
be in a top
it,
15, top
it
20, top 10 somewhere.
it's the war movie that non-war movie fans will have seen.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. Yeah.
They will have seen it. It was such a cultural massive thing at the time. My mum and my dad didn't really do cinema, but they had a copy of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
They talked about it. They told me, I wrote a piece on it for the Final Film website actually. And they told me it was massive at the time. You couldn't move for it. And for two non-movie people to say that's got to be something.
Well, Chat GPT likes it, so
Oh,
can't be
yeah,
wrong.
exactly. So, and then to sort of, push things as much as,
Yeah, we wanted to stretch Chat GPT's legs, didn't we?
yeah, we wanted to,
And we were surprised by some of the eloquence that it came out with discussing themes
it must have
and some
known
of the
it,
choices.
on our tour of of the critical space was writing the prompts. It was me, by the way, fair listeners. It must have known that it had two juggernauts of film reviewing at the helm.
Upped its game because it knew it was going to get
Yeah.
discussed.
We're a
Yeah,
modern
so
day
for the
Siskel of
prompts,
Ebert, my friend.
for the second one was, can you do the same but with obscure war filmers?
My fat fucking hands hitting the keys there. like Homer when he dials in that episode, it's like the fingers you dial to you are too fat. It's like so it said certainly here is a list of top 10 obscure war films that you might find interesting, along with reasons why they deserve recognition. So number 10, and it was an absolute curveball. We were so surprised it was on the list.
The shock on our faces
I
when it
shouted a
came out with
very
this.
loud expletive when we read this the other day. I was like, what what's going on here? Like, so number 10 is Fires Were Started, 1943, directed by Humphrey Jennings. The British film provides a realistic and poetic portrayal of the daily lives and struggles of firefighters during the London Blitz of World War II. It offers a unique perspective on the home front and the courage of those fighting to protect their city. It
Wow.
does.
Yeah.
It's a great film. If any FOF listeners have not seen Fires Were Started, it's well worth checking out. I think it was on YouTube the last time I watched it. So if you do want to go and see it, it's out there. It's really good. It's when I can't remember his Ealing off the top of my head, but it's when that whole sort of we were making movies as propaganda pieces, and they were like docudramas almost. That's the vibe it goes for. It's set and it's firefighters during the Blitz. They've got some little characters in there, but it is literally almost a day in the life of a fire crew. It's really, really good stuff. But really interesting to see that the AI chose it as its number 10.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked, and this list actually only gets better. It's great at the bottom, but then it goes really weird at the top. But we'll talk more about that in a moment. Yeah. Number 9, Silent Mountain, 2014. This Austrian-Italian film portrays the lesser-known Italian front of World War One. It tells the story of an Austrian soldier trapped behind enemy lines and his struggle for survival. The film offers a visually stunning and poignant exploration of the forgotten aspects of the Great War. I have not seen that one.
Me neither.
So I can't comment on what the film's like, but ChatGPT's, added one to the FOF list anyway.
Yeah. It's in the corner. It's cracked open a bottle of cold Pinot Grigio, lit a cigarette, and it's really testing us now, isn't it? It's like twirling the wine glass, taking a puff of the cigarette, and be like, you boys really think you can test me now?
Have you boys seen The Cranes Are Flying?
Interestingly, Matt, that is number 8 on our list. 1957's The Cranes Are Flying, directed by, gonna butcher this name, Nikolai Kalatozov. Yep, I think I got that right. The Soviet film focuses on the personal and emotional toll of war on civilians during World War II. It follows a young woman's experiences as she navigates love, loss, and resilience amid the chaos of war. Is that the one with the really cool crane shot? Is that it? Because if that's it, that's a cracker.
Titling you film that and then having a really great crane shot.
I swear that it is. I'm going to check.
It's really. I've seen it once years ago, and it's really the cinematography on it is really clean.
Mm.
It is a genuinely interesting Russian war movie. But it's just another that I was not expecting at all.
No, there's a scene where it's not a crane shot. It's like a continuity sequence in a way where she's on a bus and she goes through all traffic. I mean, that's a really well shot sequence. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But no, that's what a top pick there. Another one. So number 7.
Number 7 is, of course, the Battle of Algiers, 1966. This Italian-Algerian film depicts the Algerian struggle for independence from French colonial rule. It offers a realistic and politically charged exploration of guerrilla warfare, terrorism, and the complex dynamics of colonialism and liberation. Boy, doesn't it just Chat GPT.
Yeah. Chat GPT on this list really likes its documentary style filmmaking.
It does. That is very true. I mean,
yeah.
He's obviously sat there with his Pinot and he's like, you know what? I really do enjoy a bit of war cinema with some depth and an exploration of human themes. And I think that Battle of Algiers certainly does deserve a mid place on my list.
Yeah. Okay, it's gonna go. Have you watched Seven Samurai? Have you seen that? It's gonna start.
Did you know that it actually inspired the Magnificent Seven?
It's gonna do that, isn't it?
It's gonna at some point it's gonna go. Do you know that Tame Impala is just one guy?
Yeah, it's got that energy right now, isn't it? Yeah. It started wearing baggy workwear and shopping in like the cultural district of cities, reading Crack magazine,
wearing Carhartt.
Hey, this the Carhartt, man. Anyway, number 6 is Cross of Iron, 1977, directed by Sam Peckinpah. This war film provides a gritty and unglamorous portrayal of the Eastern Front during World War II. It follows a German army unit engaged in brutal combat against Soviet forces. The film challenges traditional war film tropes and explores the futility of war.
At this point, ChatGPT has gone, I could have included Come and See here, but I decided to go for a much more niche Eastern Front war movie.
Have you heard of Sam Peckinpah? Have you?
I love how we're literally forcing a persona onto an AI at this point.
Yeah. It's got a BFI membership. You know it.
Yeah. Every chance he's on the South Bank.
Yeah.
Every chance.
Yeah. He's got Criterion Collection Blu-rays.
Ooh, steelbooks galore.
Oh yeah. He reads Sight and Sound. It's got a subscription to Sight and Sound.
Why are we roasting ChatGPT?
Roasting an AI. And then again, the things we're roasting, I've got a Criterion Collection.
I mean, we seem to be mirroring a little bit here. We're projecting.
Projecting. Anyway.
Number 5.
Great, good choice.
Army of Shadows.
It's a good film.
No, fair. Number 5, Army of Shadows, 1969, directed by Jean-Pierre Melville. This French film focuses on the French resistance during World War II, offers a tense and atmospheric portrayal of the underground network's struggles and sacrifices, highlighting the moral dilemmas faced by its members.
Good choice.
I haven't seen Army of Shadows.
I've heard of it, not seen it. Heard of it, not seen it.
Again, ChatGPT is coming for us, Rob.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Number 4 is the Human Condition trilogy, directed by Masaki Kobayashi. The Japanese trilogy explores the experiences of a Japanese pacifist during World War II. The film tackles themes of individual morality, and the dehumanizing effects of war, and the struggle to maintain one's principles amid the chaos of battle.
I love it. Great. Yeah. That's a great inclusion.
Really good.
Hands up, haven't seen it.
I attempted to, and then I noticed that it was like 9 hours long, so I haven't.
Okay, fair.
And in the future, that is one we very, very, very well, I can't even say that, that we may very well be reviewing in the future.
Well, I, for one, look forward to the Human Condition trilogy month.
Yes.
We'll get ChatGPT on as a guest. clearly knows a lot about
We'll have to make room for his hubris.
it. Number 3, The Fires on the Plain, 1959, directed by Kon Ichikawa. This Japanese war film takes place in the Philippines during World War II. It follows a soldier suffering from tuberculosis as he navigates the brutality and desperation of war. The film delves into the psychological toll of conflict and the erosion of human decency.
I hadn't heard of it. Again, Chat GPT is calling us out here.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind being stretched, and I think this list really did surprise me.
Yeah.
But again, it could have easily been pulled from a number of top 10 obscure war movies you haven't seen.
And this is where I think and AI, the argument comes in as being a tool. So
yes,
I'm happy to use it to be like, hey, give me top 10 war movies I may not have seen, or give me top 10 films I may not have seen, just to broaden my own film horizons and be able to watch something, find something quickly by using an app on my phone, just to be like, hey, give me a movie I might not have seen, so I can watch it tonight, and tell me what I can watch it on. Yeah. That's how I'd like to use the AI. That's how I'd like the AI to be implemented as a tool. Not some sort of Skynet overarching being that's going to, make me a resistance fighter against the robots in 10 years. I don't want that. Well, that would be pretty cool, but I don't want it.
Well, the peace accords would finally come together talking about obscure war movies and our mutual love of Pinot Noir.
Yep. What was left of it after the better fighting. Number two is The Ascent, 1977, directed by Larissa Shepitko. The Soviet film focuses on two Soviet partisans captured by German forces during World War II. The film explores themes of heroism, sacrifice, and struggles for humanity in the face of extreme adversity.
Again, it's gone for telling us about the themes rather than
anything else,
plot and who's in it.
Which, a lot of Eastern European picks in this top 10. It's almost like it's gone for obscure, so it's chosen an obscure region of filmmaking as well, to maybe do that.
A lot of Italian and Japanese too, which I think is really interesting. It's tried to give a bit of a,
and that's always stuff that pops up when you talk about obscure, because I know that The Human Condition, that comes up a lot. I forget the name of the film, but you watched it, about the Japanese soldier who was found in the 70s still fighting the war. That one. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they're ones that always get picked up on. And number one,
interesting. There's no De Bruyne, which is a kind of semi-obscure.
Yeah. No Nine Men.
Yeah. No Nine Men. That's a very obscure British war movie.
No, Theirs Is the Glory. Things that we here would say, or things that we would hope would be added in, or they were not divided. I'm amazed that fires were started. It was even included in this.
Yeah.
But so number one, Matt, please regale us.
Number one, Chat GPT has circled back and thrown us a real curveball. He's come in with Come and See, Rob. 1985.
I'm shocked. I'm floored.
This war film, directed by Elm Kilmov, portrays the horrors of the Nazi occupation in Belarus during World War II. It offers a raw and visceral depiction of the devastating impact of war on innocent civilians, making it a haunting and unforgettable film.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's pretty much what is normally written about Come and See.
Yeah, it is one that sticks with you, and it's it's one we've yet to do on the show, but we have plans to cover it, obviously, because you can't not rate Come and See. It's a world of its own, isn't it? It's an absolute, it's a mind fuck, really. You have to. Is it a movie for a certain mood? I don't think
very much so. Yeah,
you can't just
absolutely
go.
Fascinating film.
It really, really is, and I don't think any. There's been attempts to replicate it, but no one's ever got the come and see-ness of a film. Ever again.
It's almost, it's obvious. It's an obvious number one, but again, yes, for the mainstream war movie watcher, they might have heard of Come and See, but they might not have watched it, or they may never have heard of it. It just depends on whether you've read one of the, top 100, top 10, top 50 war movies to see before you die lists.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's normally on there somewhere, rightfully so. Often, again, objective, but a very interesting list from Chat GPT, I think.
Yeah, two interesting lists. I mean, it's interesting just to see what an AI can do.
It surprised me. I will be honest.
No, it did surprise me as well.
It provided something a little less obvious than I thought. And the second list definitely really did surprise me in that it's throwing out things that are genuinely obscure. It's not just things that it's seen listed as obscure that aren't really that obscure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's interesting. And I think, this week we thought it was important to do something with AI just to show people how easy it is to utilize, and how threatening it could possibly be to people in the creative industry. And probably the reason why people are striking, as well as residual fees that need to be sorted out. But
it absolutely is one of the key things that
of course
SAG-AFTRA are discussing at the moment, and the writers, because that a studio taking the likeness of someone, or a studio using AI to imitate a style of a writer.
Yes,
that is fundamental stuff. It undermines creativity. It undermines the sacrosanctness of art almost. I mean, that sounds kind of wanky, but it is kind of true.
It goes against why we do this, because we love the creativity of our fellow human beings, and we love to see projects come from someone's thought process or thought stream, and then 5 years, 10 years later, they are something tangible you can own or go and see or support, or but buy the t-shirt of. There's so many things this affects, not just you going to see a movie, not just you eating your popcorn in your seat enjoying yourself. There's so much this affects. So we just thought in this week we would highlight it, and then use it to talk about some more films.
Yeah, it's important to emphasize that a lot of people that are striking are not big, well-known writers and actors. These people are people who are jobbing, and they make a
real
hand-to-mouth living.
Joes
who write in some cases.
Like me and Matt, we're regular Joes who write for a living, and we understand the hardships. People who might not know, who don't do it, you get paid like on publication. So I go months without getting a check.
Yeah, that is the nature of it sometimes.
It's just how it works. Or if you write per piece, the amounts that you get are quite limited per piece now. They used to be bigger, but it's just how it.
Well, again, publishing is gonna face the similar sort of issues from AI that the film and TV industry is facing. So just a really interesting thing to highlight and discuss. And also, we always love discussing a good list.
Of course, who doesn't? But yeah, there we go. That was this week's episode, guys. I know it's a bit different to what we usually do. We don't usually get all on our soapbox, but we felt this week really important to just lay out how we feel, and maybe maybe it'll inspire you guys to go out and find more about this strike and how it could potentially affect the industry and everything else. Do go away and find there's some fantastic people who are striking and actually making content about it. Adam Conover, a comedian. He's a writer. He's been striking for months now. Go and check him out. He does some great stuff about all that. But yeah, do join us next week when we will be back for another war movie review. But it won't be Oppenheimer. So take of that what you will. And thanks for listening. And always, if you want to start from episode 1 of the pod and catch up, use fightingonfilm.com. We can find the rest of the back catalogue there.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Did I say what I said? Watching. I meant listening.
Watching.
Bye.
Bye.
I make YouTube videos. What can I say?
Love it.